If you've played Gambit over the last week, you may have noticed or felt the difference between a really good cohesive team that gets along well together and those teams that don't vibe very well together. Here are tips of things to do and things to stop doing in Gambit to help you win more often and have a better time with the game mode. I want to initially talk about invasions because they form a backbone of the tempo of the gameplay within Gambit. If you get invaded and you have 5 or less moats, you now need to be the person on your team that is seeking out the invader to give callouts to your teammates and, basically be the person who shuts that guy down. You want to defend your 15 and 10 moat players as best as possible, and if you're hiding behind a rock or a tree and you only have 2 or 3 moats, you're doing it incorrectly. The more intel you can feed your teammates, the faster they can take down that invader, and the better chance they're going to make a good decision about whether to try and bank their moats, or continue hiding, or just generally where to position themselves. It is 4 against 1, and I guarantee you, the team of 4 can always take down the invader if they have a good sense of where he is on the map. Yeah, it can be tough to deal with Sleeper Simulant, but stop hiding behind objects if you have a low amount of moats. You gotta get in there and engage in the action. Also, if you're on PC, join that local chat and communicate with your team. Additionally, let's talk about moats. When you look at your teammates above their heads, you can see the icon of how many moats they have. Stop stealing moats of players who have 12 or higher moats. If the player has 12 or higher moats, they are just a few moats away from getting you that big blocker. Additionally, you put them at great risk if, let's say, you have 2 or 3 moats and you steal their last 3 or 4 moats. They then are going to wait for the next set of adds to spawn in order to reach 15. We all know when you've been at 12 or 13 moats, you want the big giant blocker and you're gonna wait to do what you wanna do. That puts a lot of resources at high risk when that first or second invasion comes along. So please, before you just swing right over the moats, look at your teammates and make the best strategic decision that you possibly can. When we're talking about invasions, a few tips to have. I know the Sleeper Simulant is frustrating to deal with. However, it can be overcome. When you are the invader, I want to encourage something. Your strongest aggression that you can deal to the enemy is being a distraction. If you are continually going in and getting killed very quickly, you're not making use of the invasion as well as you possibly can. Seriously, you don't have to go in there and get 3 kills or 4 kills in order to make the invasion worthwhile. Keeping alive and being a thorn in their side is a huge benefit. Remember, they're having to juggle add DPS. If the primeval's up, they're having to deal with a lot of new enemies spawning, and you as well. Be a disruptive force, and even if that means fleeing to keep alive so that you can come back on another flank and just throw them off their game. Be annoying, honestly. I do recommend that you leave the heavy ammo for your invader, at least for the first and second points of invasion. You don't have to do it, but it's generally the polite thing, I guess, to do, and it gives you the best chance to ultimately slow down the opponents. If you have a bunch of moats, don't go invade, and please play it safe. It is very frustrating to watch somebody with 10 or more moats go invade the enemy team, and you see them die and lose those moats. You can let your teammates handle the invaders, and don't try and rush to grab a bunch of new moats when a new invasion begins or when a fresh wave actually gets into the playing field, unless you know you can clear them safely. For whatever reason, the enemies, sometimes you can just die unexplainably to a bunch of fire from a fresh group of spawning mobs. Make sure you're killing the envoys and getting those stacks for the Primeval Slayer. The goal is to not take the Primeval down immediately, but build those stacks up so that when your team coordinates, you can burn the boss down quickly. Invasions are going to happen frequently at the end of the match, and that's the point. You should be invading your enemies as frequently as possible at the end of the match as well to try and secure kills and heal that Primeval Slayer. But it all comes back to what I initially talked about, the distraction element. A good invader not only slays, but stays alive, repositions, and bothers the enemy team and throws them off guard. When the Drifter lets you know that you have enough moats to summon the Primeval, make sure you do a quick glance around at your teammates. Whoever has the most moats, let them dunk it first. Obviously, if you can summon the Primeval and get a big blocker over to the other side, that's always the optimal situation. Ultimately, I think the best tip to give in Gambit is to work together. I've solo queued a bunch. I think it's a very fun game type. However, you will run into a lot of 3 and 4 player stacks. That can be hard to overcome regardless of how well your teammates play together. There's just a huge benefit in being able to talk to your teammates about the invaders over there. Or when are we going to bank? Hey, I've got 13, let me go grab those last 2 moats. Coordination is ultimately the best skill set that you can have in Gambit. I would love to hear about your guys' tips as well. If I missed anything that you've learned over the last few weeks of playing Gambit, let us know about it in the comment section down below. If you found this video helpful, please thumbs it up, subscribe for more, have an excellent rest of your day, and I'll talk with you again next time.